Amber here with 5 tips on how to sell your house over the weekend. That doesn't sound right. Quickly too. How to sell your house fast. Get your house sold as fast as possible. No, that doesn't work. Okay. Hey guys, Amber here, and today's video is going to be five tips on how to get your house sold as fast as possible. Nobody likes listing their house. Selling your house, putting it on the market, it's never fun. It's a royal pain in the butt, especially if you have kids. Living in a house that's on the market with children may be the second hardest thing I've ever done in my life, aside from actually giving birth to them. It is constant cleanup. Constant. It's horrible. So if you can get your house sold as fast as possible, then that is the most ideal situation. I need to just say, I'm not a realtor. None of my advice is going to supersede what your personal realtor would say. But I did used to sell real estate, so I am familiar with the way things work and the whole process. All the steps I'm going to tell you are things that you can do before you even sit down with your realtor. I also want to give this little disclaimer that these tips and tricks are meant to help you sell your house, but obviously I can't guarantee any home sales. First, price your house appropriately. That doesn't mean you have to be the cheapest house on the block, but it does mean that you need to put in a little effort, look and see what houses are similar to your house that are on the market right now. You could even maybe go tour those homes. We didn't personally go tour any of the homes. I did do a lot of homework on websites like Redfin and Zillow. You should know the basic competition for your home in your zip code. Now, your realtor, that's part of their job too, is to what they call pool comps. And what they'll do is they'll look at all the homes that sold, within the last 30, 60 days in your market, in your zip code. And they'll look at the homes that are on the market right now and kind of get a feel for where your house might fit in between the higher, more expensive homes and the lower, less expensive homes, where your home kind of squeezes in there price-wise. Things that you guys can look at on your own though, on Redfin or Zillow, you can set your filters for square footage, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. And then once you have kind of a list of 10 to 12 houses that are very similar to your home, you can go through those and look at the pictures and see, are their kitchens new? Are their bathrooms new? Maybe you have a finished basement, but this house doesn't have a finished basement. And it should give you a really solid idea of where your house is price-wise compared to its competition. So tip number 2 would be clean and declutter and depersonalize. I went through with a notebook and every page was a different room. And I literally looked around the room and inventoried, take all the pictures off the walls, patch the holes, remove this furniture, remove that furniture. You need to have bare bones in every room. I mean, you're moving, by the way, so you're going to be packing the stuff up anyway. So hard. I had to do it twice. And then Chris had to follow up behind me and was like, no, you don't need that. Take that out. Take that out. So go through, make a list of all the things that you need to do for that room. Declutter. They say take 50% of items out of every single closet. So if you have a linen closet, take 50% of that stuff out, pack it away. Kids' bedroom closets, I took all of their out-of-season clothes and packed them away. In our closets, I packed away all the shoes that I never wore, all the purses that I, usually have for circulation. Just got as much stuff out of the closets as possible because for one, it's less of a distraction. And for two, it makes all of your closets look a lot bigger. The other thing that you can do is depersonalize by taking every single personal decoration down. You can kind of leave generic decorations up, a mirror or something like that. I did a lot of research on staging homes, and they did suggest having artwork up or strategically placed decor on the walls. And our opinion, since we were going through and patching all the holes from personal photos that we had hanging up, we decided to just patch every single hole. That way, when the new home buyer came in, they could put things on the walls where they wanted and they didn't have to repaint or patch holes that we had in the walls. Just our opinion, it seemed to work fine, but it did leave our walls pretty bare when you look at the pictures, we'll say. Take down all personal photos, knickknacks, calendars, anything that when the home buyer can walk through your home and get distracted by because it's like, oh, who lives here? Look at this kid. This kid's cute. Oh, look at their dog, blah, blah, blah. You don't want them to be distracted looking at your personal stuff. You want them to be looking at your house. Tip number 3. First impressions, curb appeal. Curb appeal is when someone drives up to your house. You need your house to look sparkling, clean, basically normal outdoor stuff that you would do for the season. Like if it's fall, you would need to do a fall cleanup, get all the leaves off your yard, mow your yard, make it look fresh. If it's spring, you would have to do probably a little bit more. Fresh mulch, maybe some fresh spring flowers. You want your home to look its best. We were actually in like the dead of winter, so there wasn't a lot we could do to make our house look like awesome. So I did take summer pictures though. We were not convinced that we were debating whether or not to list in the spring or over the winter. Everything I researched was saying like spring is the best time to list, but then I was also reading all this research that said there are buyers in the winter and they're the serious buyers. We felt like our house was like a summer house. We have a lot of exterior living. Chris is obviously a landscaper, so our landscaping is always like pretty awesome. And we felt like that was like a huge perk of our house. We were a little bit apprehensive to list in the winter when we had none of that going on and only the house would be what people were looking at. Ultimately, I took summer pictures so that people could be like, oh, this is what it looks like in the winter, but this is what it could look like when it gets warmer. So I think that helped. And talking with our agent, I sent him all of our summer pictures to add to our winter listing so that people could kind of see like, oh, this is what it's like in the summer. It's going to be great, even though everything's dead right now. That's a little side thing that you could do too if you feel like your house shows really well in the summer, but you have to list in the winter. Just keep some summer photos. Make sure that they're not like kids playing at your pool, but like landscape photos where everything looks amazing after like a fresh lawn mow or whatever. The 2 things that we did on the exterior of our house were we got it power washed and we got our windows cleaned. Interior wise, this is where all of your repairs, fresh paint throughout the whole house, possibly replacing carpet are going to be the most economical updates that you can do for your house to kind of give it a quick facelift. We painted everything. I touched up all the doors. I touched up all the trim, every little like nick or gouge I could find on any of the walls. And it really just made a huge difference. Our walls are smooth. They're just like a totally neutral color. We have no holes in them, no nail pops, nothing. They look really, really, really nice. Very minimal stuff. A lot of this stuff is just like straight up sweat equity, like getting in there and getting some elbow grease and just doing it yourself. And we kind of touched on this. This is going to be tip number 4 is staging. Setting up each room in its minimal form of what it's supposed to be. Bedrooms, sticking a bed in there, sticking a end table in there, and then that's it. Keeping as minimal amount of furniture in the rooms as possible. The problem is if you take out all the furniture, when you're looking at pictures, you have really no scale of how big a bedroom is. So leaving in like a twin bed with a little nightstand or even like a little futon or something in a room, just so in the picture somebody could have like a real sense of like size, like, oh, that's like a decent sized room. There's like a bed in there. I can see that there's some maneuverability. I could put a dresser here or whatever. So minimal amount of furniture that also kind of gives a perspective of what the room size is. Setting up rooms for what they're supposed to be used for. We have a dining room that we've never used as an actual dining room. It's basically been a million other things, but not a dining room. So we had to get a table and stick it in there so that when you walked in the door, you saw a dining room because that's what it's supposed to be. So people need to be able to see rooms for what they're for. As much as I feel like people can see through things, apparently they can't. It's just, people can't see past certain things, and that's going to be your decorations, your paint color, stuff like that. Okay, so for tip number 5, it's really going to depend, I guess, on your realtor. Our realtor had a photographer that he used, and I was very happy with his images and how he portrayed the house. I would say that maybe some realtors don't work with a professional photographer, and in that case, you would probably be best served finding a photographer who does do listing photos. I think that they use a wide angle or like a fisheye lens that's able to get the entire room into one photo without distortion, and it's just really helpful versus you trying to stand in the corner of a room and take a photo, or your realtor trying to stand there in the corner of a room and take like an accurate photo. My mom is looking at houses right now. My brother's looking at houses right now. And when we were kind of looking at tons of listings around, trying to find comps to our house, the houses and listings that have professional photography just stand out. They just look better. There's not really much to say. And basically you want your house to pop. And if that means paying a little money for a professional photographer, it will do you so much justice in getting the traffic that you want. Because ultimately, if people can't determine what your photos look like online, or if they're dark, or just everything's cluttered, they're not going to come see your house. Now, if you have bright, accurate, nice looking photos where someone feels like the photos are honest, they will come to your house. The worst thing that you could have happen is dishonest photos, and when the people come to your house, they're like, no. So you want an accurate representation of your house, and you want high quality, wide angle lens photos that really captures the whole room. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something useful that you can apply to the sale of your home to accelerate that process. If you want any more tips and tricks, feel free to click the subscribe button below. Or if you want to follow us in our process of figuring out how to build your own house as an owner builder, click subscribe below. Thanks.